Tonight, another political defection for the Conservatives on the very day Parliament breaks for the holidays. The latest MP crossing the floor to the Liberals.
A warm welcome to our newest member of the Liberal Party, Michael Maw.
How the Prime Minister welcomed his latest MP and how the Leader of the Opposition said goodbye. The urgent race to leave as evacuation orders expand in southern BC.
We're trying to get our cars out so we don't lose our cars. It's ugly.
How many are being forced to leave and how much more rain is on the way? And from ban to breakthrough.
Bring visibility to the world stage and have others feel seen.
How a courageous Canadian athlete paved the inclusive path for change in her sport.
CTV National News with Omar Sachedina.
Good evening. We begin with breaking political news tonight. Late this evening, a Conservative MP from the Toronto area revealing that he is crossing the floor to join the Liberals, putting that party just one seat shy of a majority. Michael Maw's defection today follows a decision by Nova Scotia's Chris d'Entremont to do the same last month. That's when a third Conservative MP also said he was leaving. But Matt Genereux from Alberta says he will be resigning from politics altogether. In response to the latest loss from his caucus, the Conservative leader tonight wrote this about Michael Maw. The people he let down the most are the ones who elected him to fight for an affordable future. He will have to answer to them. News of the political shakeup dropping on the same day as members started a 6-week holiday break. CTV's Rachel Aiello leads us off.
So let's give a warm welcome to our newest member of the Liberal Party, Michael.
Liberals were celebrating more than the holiday season tonight. Learning just as festivities were getting underway at the party's annual gathering in Ottawa, that Prime Minister Mark Carney had poached another Conservative MP.
Like literally just joined our party.
Rookie Ontario MP Michael Maw, seen here posing with Poilievre at the Conservative Christmas party last night, says he's informed the Speaker of his decision to join the governing party. In a lengthy statement, Maw said he entered public service to help people, to focus on solutions, not division, and looks forward to working with Prime Minister Mark Carney to make sure that Markham Unionville and all of Canada can move forward with confidence.
171.
The defection means the Liberals are now just one seat shy of a majority government, a position they'll be looking to leverage when members of Parliament resume sitting next year.
The House stands adjourned until Monday, January 26, 2026.
The House adjourned today, with the Liberals saying it was a productive fall despite few pieces of legislation passing.
Since September, we have accomplished a great deal. It has been a hard grind because of this Conservative obstruction, but we did get results for Canadians.
Key crime bills and the Budget Implementation Act have been left in limbo, but the Conservatives said they aren't to blame.
It's Liberals who are engaged in self-obstruction of their own legislation.
Asked today, before he lost yet another MP, how confident he was about a strong showing in his January leadership review, Poilievre said very. Omar?
All right, Rachel Aiello on that breaking news out of Ottawa tonight. And a political curveball in Prince Edward Island tonight. Rob Lance resigned as Premier to pursue permanent leadership of the province's PC party.
I made the decision on that 100% on Monday after the by-election that, I think Islanders still have confidence in this government and I want to have a role in that.
The decision comes after months of mixed messages. He was sworn in as Premier in February after Dennis King stepped down. Lance's resignation was required in order to run in the party's leadership race next year. Deputy Premier Blois Thompson will be sworn in tomorrow as PEI's 35th Premier. Turning now to the devastating flooding in the western part of the country in BC's Fraser Valley, where more than 1,400 properties tonight are under evacuation orders or alerts. CTV's BC Bureau Chief Andrew Johnson on the urgent race to leave.
In just minutes, this road was overtaken by water that surged across the U.S. border into Abbotsford.
Everything was fine until about an hour ago, and then all of a sudden it went crazy.
The farms on the other side were next. A concrete business across the street rushed to get staff and equipment out.
We're trying to get our cars out so we don't lose our cars. It's ugly.
Police went door to door asking people to pack up and get ready to go. It wasn't long before those homes were surrounded.
Nature is powerful and it will do whatever it wants, so the best we can do is hope.
Hundreds more properties are under an evacuation order. Farmers trying to protect their animals moved pigs and cattle to higher ground.
We have to make the call early because our road floods as well. So by the time we know that we have a problem in the barns, sometimes it's too late. So we took the proactive approach and moved the heifers out yesterday. I didn't sleep much at all. I mean, my dad was up half the night as well.
Yesterday, the region was hammered with up to 140 millimeters of rain. That also led to rock slides. At one point, 4 different highways were closed, cutting off the Lower Mainland and Metro Vancouver from the BC interior. For many, this is all far too familiar. Catastrophic flooding here 4 years ago, the most costly disaster in BC history, is still fresh, and people wonder if enough resources are being put into prevention.
Frustrating. Yeah, I feel like more could be done.
All of this water from the overflowing Nooksack River in Washington state is expected to peak sometime tonight. But officials warn this emergency isn't over just yet. And there is rain in the forecast starting tomorrow for the entire week ahead. Andrew Johnson, CTV News, Abbotsford, BC.
And we'll have a detailed look at that forecast in just a few moments. But here's what it looks like on the other side of the border. Submerged cars, neighborhoods, and rescues in Washington state, where a state of emergency remains in effect. Here, dramatic video showing first responders lifting drivers after getting caught in fast-moving water and rescue boats being deployed to get residents out. All of this, of course, being triggered by an atmospheric river that has dumped a staggering amount of rain in a short amount of time. To walk us through that weather phenomenon and what's ahead is CTV Your Morning meteorologist Kelsey McEwen. Kelsey.
Omar, you hear the words atmospheric river on the BC coastline and you're immediately drawn back to that major event of 2021. This event, the rainfall totals have been less, indicating around 130 millimeters with that orange level of rainfall warning that was issued midweek. But the moisture source of this, well out into the Pacific, you can see this band of cloud just east of Hawaii. This atmospheric river, what is it? Well, similar to an actual river on land, this is a narrow band of continuous moisture, 300 to 600 kilometers in width up in the sky. And this is moving towards land, but it's not just the fact that it's moist air. It's also the terrain of the BC coastline, those coastal mountains forcing this air up. And as it does, all that moisture condenses out and precipitates back down. Now, we see this happen a couple times on the BC coast, not only for the coastal mountains, but also the Rockies as well. Now, as we go through the next couple of days, there may be a brief break Friday, but coming into late Saturday, the heaviest moisture will begin to shift its way southward. Omar?
All right, Kelsey, thank you. In other news, the man accused of killing conservative activist Charlie Kirk made his first court appearance today. Tyler Robinson was seen wearing civilian clothing and smiling at times while talking with his lawyers in the Utah courtroom. Robinson is facing murder charges and could face the death penalty. The 22-year-old is accused of firing the rifle shot that killed Kirk from a rooftop during a university campus event. Toronto police say they have identified the serial killer responsible for murdering 3 women in the 1980s and 90s.
On December the 3rd, 2025, the Center of Forensic Sciences identified a man named Kenneth Smith as the offender in the murders of 3 women.
Smith died in Windsor, Ontario in 2019. Police used investigative genetic genealogy to link him to the DNA connected with the murders of Christine Prince, Claire Sampson, and Gracelyn Greenidge. Via Rail passengers arrived in Ottawa today more than 12 hours late after being forced to spend the night stranded on a train in Brockville. CTV's Caitlin Wilson on the frustration and the reasons why.
After nearly 17 hours of travel, Jade Schofield is finally in Ottawa.
I am exhausted. I am excited to get to a hotel and sleep.
She left Toronto just before 7 Wednesday night, expecting to arrive by 11 p.m. But 2 hours into her trip, the train came to a halt just outside of Brockville, stopping to help another train that had broken down because of a mechanical failure.
Through that, we found out that train had actually been sat there for a number of hours with no light, no heat, no washrooms, and it was the Toronto-bound train.
At one point, 3 trains were involved. Those traveling to Ottawa all ended up on one train that hooked onto the stalled train and pulled it to Brockville Station several hours later.
But then there was an issue with disconnecting it, so we ended up stranded essentially, and of course blocking the tracks.
And with engineering crews at the end of their shift, passengers say they had no choice but to wait.
I think it was just being left in the dark that irked people the most.
Sophie LaBelle was also on the train. She says people tried to sleep with no blankets or pillows and no clear timeline.
There was a sense of camaraderie, and people were trying to sleep on the floor, and they did bring snacks. It's just the absolute lack of transparency.
By morning, with no available buses, passengers were told to find their own transportation, but then Via Rail managed to get them on a regularly scheduled train arriving in Ottawa at noon.
Via Rail wants to offer our deepest apologies for these events. This is definitely not the level of service that our passengers expect from us, and it's absolutely not the level of service that we want to offer.
Via Rail is offering a full refund along with a travel credit towards a future trip.
Even though I've lost a hotel night, I've lost a day's work, so I don't know if it really, from a financial perspective, weighs it out.
Caitlin Wilson, CTV News.
There appears to be some good news for Canadians used to long delays with the Canada Revenue Agency. Today it unveiled a plan promising improved service after a major review. CTV's Abigail Beeman on the new targets.
It's very scary when you think that you might lose all your teeth.
Dealing with her husband's dental emergency, Zuli says it's been a nightmare trying to reach the CRA for help from the Canadian Dental Care Plan.
It's been quite an ordeal. It's been 2 weeks of tears.
We're very proud of the work that our teams have managed to accomplish.
After the 100-day service improvement plan, proud the number of calls answered went from just 35% to hit the goal of more than 70%.
We will never be in a position to answer 100% of the phone calls that we receive at the agency.
At 30 million calls a year, 300,000 a day during the spring tax filing season, the CRA calls it unsustainable.
When it comes to contact center operations that are being operated in a very fiscally responsible and somewhat restrained way.
And in the face of government-wide tightening, a boost to 4,500 call center employees at tax time is temporary, with cuts possible.
We're not in a position to tell you right now that whether there are cuts planned and when they might be.
They are investing where we have massive problems.
The union head believes call center staff are safe for now, but calls improvements in the 100-day plan a Band-Aid solution.
The improvement also stems from the fact that we're at the low season. We're not in a tax season. So we need a lot more help.
It's not as easy as just throwing people at problems. I don't believe in that. I believe in saying, what do we need to offer the proper service to Canadians? We need to make sure their phones are answered on a timely basis, 1. 2, we need to give Canadians options, online digitalization.
As an example of increased online options, Canadians locked out of their CRA account can now access them digitally, diverting as many as 300,000 calls a year. The union says the real test will be what happens on day 101 after the plan and beyond. Omar?
Abigail, thank you. If you want a slice of the Loblaws bread price fixing settlement, the deadline is today. A lawyer with the firm that filed the class action says anyone who purchased packaged bread between 2001 and 2021 can make a claim with no proof of purchase required. The lawsuit alleged Loblaw engaged in an industry-wide scheme to fix bread prices, and a $500 million settlement was approved in May. No relief in sight for renters across Canada. New data shows despite an increase in supply, there has been no drop in prices. CTV's Heather Wright on the numbers, and one man struggling to keep up.
It's a month.
Ali Jaffrey's rent is due next week, and right now he's not sure if he will have enough money to pay it.
The 15th of the month is just a few days away, and I'm in a difficult spot right now.
Jaffrey has a job, a child, and a tight-knit community in downtown Toronto, but he says the cost of living is squeezing him.
We want to make a life here, but we're doing all the right things, but we're still falling behind, and it's not a sustainable situation.
Today, the Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation released its annual rental market report, which shows that despite an increase in purpose-built rentals and an increase in the vacancy rate, there has not been a corresponding drop in the average price of rent. The average rent for a two-bedroom purpose-built rental unit was $1,550 a month, an increase of 5.1%, while the average rent for a two-bedroom condo was $2,300.
The affordability challenges are still very present. That has not gone away.
But the CMHC says there are early signs things are improving. Many landlords are now offering incentives like a month of free rent or free internet to entice renters. And government policies from all three levels of government appear to be working, though experts caution it's early.
We're seeing a lot of programs that have been put in place, different products to help developers, push those projects out the door.
But to get back to pre-pandemic rent prices, the CMHC says housing starts need to double. They were down 17% in October compared to the month before.
The CMHC says there are currently 190,000 rental units under construction across the country, slated to be completed in the next year or so. They say that will keep the vacancy rate high and likely help with the cost of rent. Heather Wright, CTV News, Toronto.
Chiefs in Manitoba are reacting to a landmark federal court decision confirming that Canada has a legal obligation to provide adequate housing for First Nations people living on reserves.
The court made it clear that Canada cannot maintain the status quo.
The ruling came after the court reviewed evidence of unsafe and overcrowded homes, many with mold infestations and no running water or heat. The class action was launched in 2023 by two First Nations from Manitoba and Ontario, representing more than 100 communities across the country. They are seeking $5 billion in damages. The federal government has until the beginning of January to appeal. Allegations of a toxic work environment and bullying have prompted the CEO of the Canadian Museum of Immigration at Pier 21 in Halifax to step down. A federal investigation found Marie Chapman left many employees emotionally damaged after a pattern of inappropriate behavior for more than a decade that involved using offensive language and instilling fear through intimidation tactics.
It's entirely unacceptable. And again, if any of these allegations are true, I would expect the board to do its job.
Chapman responded in a statement saying while she disagrees with the findings, she acknowledges and embraces her responsibility as a leader of the museum. Coming up, what happened to this skydiver who got stuck on the wing of a plane? Jumping out of a plane with a parachute is already an activity for thrill seekers, but there was an extra adrenaline rush in Australia when a skydiver survived a heart-stopping incident. Take a look here. The skydiver, thousands of meters in the air, was pulled out of the plane when their reserve chute opened by accident, leaving them caught dangling in the air on the wing of the plane. In slow motion, you can see how the skydiver was flung backward, knocking another jumper with a parachute into free fall. What happens next is partly why Australian authorities released this video.
Although not mandatory at the time of the accident, the parachutists had a hook knife attached to their chest strap.
The video then shows the skydiver using that hook knife to tear through the parachute lines, cutting enough to free themselves from the plane, and once clear, safely deploy the other parachute.
This investigation is also a reminder for pilots conducting parachute operations of the importance of wearing an emergency parachute.
A handle got snagged on the wing flap of the plane, activating the reserve chute. The plane's tail was also damaged by the incident, though the pilot managed to land it safely. Another piece of rare video to show you of two groups of aquatic rivals teaming up over their mutual love of Pacific salmon. Researchers at UBC and Dalhousie have captured proof of killer whales and dolphins working together to feed on Chinook salmon off the coast of British Columbia. They're calling it a surprising alliance that could reshape our understanding of marine predators. Gotta stick together. Still ahead. Time Magazine's Person of the Year is not a single person. Who made the cover and why? Next. Time Magazine says 2025 is when artificial intelligence roared into view and has named the architects of AI as their Person of the Year. The magazine will have two covers, one with the letters A and I under construction, the second featuring 8 tech titans on a beam, like the famous 1930s photograph Lunch Atop a Skyscraper, featuring ironworkers during the construction of the building now known as 30 Rockefeller Plaza. The group in their recreation includes CEOs of companies like OpenAI, Meta, Tesla, Anthropic, and NVIDIA. And Walt Disney has announced a $1 billion investment into OpenAI that will bring its iconic characters to life in the video generation tool Sora. The 3-year deal will give Sora and ChatGPT the right to use Disney characters from Star Wars to princesses in AI-generated videos and photos. And the third and largest chance for soccer fans to get access to FIFA World Cup tickets began today, and the cost is steep. Tickets to Canada's first game in Toronto that could be against Italy range from $1,300 to $3,000. The cheapest ticket in Toronto is for the Ghana-Panama game for $195. Still ahead, how a Canadian athlete is pushing past old barriers and championing new inclusion. A Canadian athlete is earning praise on the global stage, not just for her performance, but for fearlessly forging a more inclusive future. Here's CTV's Annie Bergeron-Oliver.
This is a fantastic ski from Shiloh Russo.
Whenever Shiloh Russo puts on her Team Canada gear,
look at the lead that she has.
A wave of immense pride sweeps over her.
It becomes more than just about you. I feel like I'm representing my hometown and all the people who have supported me along the way.
This year, Russo came up with a way to share that love as she races for a spot on the Olympic team. A custom-made pistol grip with a rainbow flag to support the LGBTQ community.
I wanted to not only feel empowered myself, but bring visibility to the world stage and have others feel seen and feel safe to express who they are as well.
But initially, that sense of safety was violated. During a routine equipment check last weekend, race organizers at a World Cup event told her the flag went against their ad policy on political statements.
They said, in order to race, you need to cover up this symbol.
Biathlon Canada says Russo almost missed the race.
It didn't seem like this is a political statement at all. It's an expression of Shiloh's identity, and it seemed like an overreach by the local officials.
Biathlon Canada and Russo asked for a review. In the end, the International Biathlon Union conceded their rules were unclear, that the rainbow flag is not a political statement and can be displayed on gear in all future races.
It definitely took me by surprise and was quite upsetting, especially the day before the race, but my coaches and team had my back and we made positive change happen.
The International Biathlon Union says it's hoping to recraft its policies. As for Russo, she says this experience has made her feel empowered and proud of who she is. Annie Bergeron-Oliver, CTV News, Ottawa.
And that's a snapshot of this Thursday. Marcia is in tomorrow. For all of us at CTV National News, thank you for watching and good night.